Hello. Happy Tuesday. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I was eating a yogurt. That's my only excuse I have for being a little bit late on today. I have been having a really good morning actually. I've had some really nice client calls, a couple of really nice Q&A calls, which has been lovely. And so me and Max are here, we're ready to talk about branding, we're ready to talk about being the expert, we're ready to talk about, just actually establishing yourself as the authority in your business, which is like super important. So hey. So today's live is going to be quite quick actually, because the whole point behind today's live stream is that you will be able to walk away knowing exactly what you have to do to kind of establish yourself as the authority in your particular area of expertise. And that's not always an easy job, okay? Hey Natalie. So me and Natalie have just been chatting for like ages. So I feel privileged that she'd shown up live as well. Awesome. But yeah, so today we're talking about how you can establish yourself as the authority in your biz, because we don't all start out going, I'm the best person ever at selling, or I'm the best person ever at, teaching people how to eat healthily, or teaching people how to lose weight, or teaching people how to have great relationships. We don't all start out in that expert status, and although we might be able to teach other people how to do it, and we know and we're confident in our own skills and abilities, it doesn't always necessarily translate to the online world or to other people and how they actually perceive us, right? So hopefully today's session, quick though it may be, is going to give you all of the tools and the tips and tricks to actually establish yourself as that authority. So what can you do when you're feeling like nobody knows who you are, and when you are feeling like nobody will buy from you because you're thinking, nobody knows who I am, so they're obviously going to buy from one of the bigger players in my space. Think about what differentiates you. Now, I have a lot of really, really big competitors who charge an awful lot more for their services, and you definitely can't work with them one-on-one anymore anyway, in my space. But the thing that differentiates me from those people who are perhaps bigger players is that actually I still take a really, really big interest in each person individually that comes into any of my courses, okay? So it's one of the big things that differentiates me. And one of the things that we used to say back when I was in corporate was that you are much more likely to get better service from a boutique agency or from a boutique or smaller, basically, company than you are from a large corporate. The reason being that actually large corporates, they have enough clients, they don't really take although they take pride in customer service, they're not able to give tailored solutions. They're not able to give bespoke solutions to people. They're not able to make any exemptions or, do anything a little bit differently. There has to be a whole process that they have to go through for a number of things. So one of the things that I use to differentiate myself from my competitors and establish myself as being an authority is the fact that I really will get into somebody's business and I really will dig deep. And I will do that and tailor it to the person and make it bespoke to them and their business, rather than just giving them a blanket solution that may or may not work. I like to dig in, get straight in, find out where the big issues are, where the leaky holes are, or even where the really good stuff is, and make sure that we're focusing on that. We're either fixing it, or we're improving it, or we're making it more efficient and testing and tweaking, right? And that's what differentiates me from a lot of my bigger competitors who I used to worry about. The other thing that really, when people talk about visibility and when people talk about being the expert in their space, we've got quite a few people joining. This is awesome. Hello everybody who's joining. Say hello in the comments. Let me know who's here, because I actually like talking to everybody. So it's kind of cool to know who's around. But yeah, so the other thing that I always get stuck on is when people say, but I've not got a big article in somewhere, I've not got anything published in Huffington Post, or, I'm not a big name or something like that. And I look at them and I go, well, Cassie, yay, woo! Everybody, you should all say hello to Cassie. She's blooming ace. And actually, Cassie will be a really good person to talk to you about visibility, given her awesome telesummit that's coming up that I'm being featured on, which is super cool. And Jane, hello. And Vicky, yay! Oh, look at this. This is cool. It's like all my favourite people. Yeah, so a lot of people will come to me and they'll say, look, Jess, you know, I don't look like the expert in comparison to my bigger competitors because, you know, they've all been featured in Forbes, or they're all in Huffington Post, or they're all on TV or something like that. And I always say to people, well, why aren't you in those places? If you want to be in those places, then why aren't you? You know, go out there, get featured. Think about what your secret sauce is, your one thing, okay? And usually when you're thinking about your one big thing that you're known for, and for me it's sales, you know, people come to me and they get in touch with me because they know that I'm good at teaching people how to sell stuff in a way that feels good for them, in a way that feels authentic for them, in a way that feels in integrity with their business and their values, right? So that's why people get in touch with me. A lot of people might actually ask me after they've done sales training, well, do you do anything with business strategy? Or they'll realise that actually a lot of the other business that I do is around generalised business strategy, and so they'll ask for help in different areas, and that might be visibility, it might be PR, it might be, you know, gaining a bigger community or following or list building. Lots and lots of different things. And so think about what's that one thing, what's that one reason that people come to you, and think about how you can turn that into a potential article or into something that portrays you as the expert and gives immediate value to your audience. Okay, so for example, if you wanted to, and one of the articles that I've been kind of working on at the moment is the 5 reasons why women are actually better salespeople than men. Surprisingly controversial, and I think it will be surprisingly controversial when it gets published, but it's true. You know, there are a lot of things that actually mean that women are much better at making sales, and actually much more skilled salespeople because they have different talents, you know, and they have different levels of emotional intelligence and things like that, which actually makes it easier for them to sell, and it makes it easier for them to communicate with their clients as a whole. So think about what's your one thing, you know, what's something in your industry that you feel like you challenge with your work, or what's something in your industry that you do really well that you know that other people perhaps don't. Do you have a really strong focus on connection? Do you have a really strong focus on customer service? Do you have a really strong focus on, you know, guaranteeing results, or something that makes you different? It could even be something that you stand for in terms of a topic. For me, I stand for sales. I stand for value-based selling and relationship-based marketing, which is certainly different to the 1980s school of thought around selling and Wolf of Wall Street and all of that kind of thing. But it works for my audience, okay? So think about what works for you. What do you stand for? Do you stand for simple marketing with no nonsense, no BS? Do you stand for you know, mindset, or do you stand for mindset work that isn't woo-woo, you know, that isn't fluffy? Do you stand for female empowerment? Do you stand for financial empowerment? Do you stand for everybody really being able to have it all? Or do you stand for, you know, specific audiences or specific topics? And then create your content based around those specific topics. Now, what I mean by this is, a couple of weeks ago we did a live stream together on how you can actually get your content out there and how you can make it more effective using the SUS method. So showing up and supporting, showing up and sharing, and showing up and selling, right? And we then talked about the kinds of content that you wanted to be creating in terms of core content in your business. And we talked about the categories, so the overarching categories of your business. So for me, mine obviously would be sales, money mindset, branding, implementation and execution. For somebody who is in mindset, their categories, for example, might be mindset, limiting beliefs, you know, empowerment or self-improvement, something like that. And then we broke that down into smaller themes. So for example, under sales, I would have how to book more discovery calls, how to handle objections, how to actually go about managing the sales call, how to get more leads, all of those kinds of little topics. And I'd stick to writing content on those and creating core content around that. So think about what makes you different. Think about your categories in your business and the themes that you have, and then start developing a series of content on that, on value add content. And you can post that on social media. It can go out onto Facebook, it can go out onto Twitter, it can go out onto LinkedIn if you've got a particularly professional audience, or you've got people that you want to target that are prolific in the publicity world, or that have an awful lot of followers and things like that, then think about where that value add needs to go. Does it need to go to people who are in your ideal client list? Does it need to go to people who you would want to joint venture with, or who you would want to be featured by on podcasts and different things like that? Does that all make sense? Hopefully that is. And think about when you are branding yourself as the expert. Oh, turn my sound off there. When you're branding yourself as the expert in that space, think about how you show up. Do you show up and demonstrate immediate value? So do you show up in a group and say, hey, my name is such and such, here's my quick tip for the day? Or, hey, I just saw this amazing video and I thought it'd be really useful to other people who are interested in mindset, or other people who are interested in learning how to budget, or whatever that might look like, okay? So think about how you show up and how you establish yourself as the expert in your space. And you can do that in a number of ways. When I first started out, I was literally one of those people. It's like, I had a corporate job for a start, so I couldn't really be going out there and telling people on LinkedIn that I had this whole other business, and I couldn't really be sharing lots and lots of details publicly because I had this other job, And so one of the things that I used to do is that I used to spend a lot of time on social media and social media platforms like Facebook, where my employer probably wasn't going to be looking at me showing up and adding value in different Facebook groups. So I would do that, and I would genuinely sit and I would genuinely demonstrate value, and I wouldn't necessarily sell to people, but because I showed up authentically, because I showed up consistently being an expert within my subject area, consistently sharing tips, consistently sharing techniques and trainings about sales, people would come to me and say, how can I buy from you? Okay, which was really, really lovely. I was always very, very grateful to those people for showing up and asking me how they could buy my stuff. And then when I obviously left my job and I was able to make it a bit more public, I really focused on external credibility. So I would write for places like Women's Prospects. I would look at different podcasts that I could be featured on. I would, accept different elements of publicity that would come my way. I used to get a lot of people who would ask if I could do interviews with them on Blab, or, would I be able to write a guest blog, or would I be able to help with guest posting, or do a quick blog interview or something like that. And I used to do all of them, and I used to make sure that I was promoting them regularly, because it showed me and demonstrated me as being the expert in that sales space, which was really, really useful. The other thing that you can do to set yourself up as an expert is to actually create a Facebook group. Create your own Facebook community around your specific topic of expertise. So, you could, if like me, you are a business coach, you could create a group around business coaching and around helping new coaches or helping experienced coaches advance their coaching skills or something. You could also set up a Facebook group around Facebook groups and how to manage other Facebook groups. You could set up a Facebook group, Vicky has one, which is called Feminine Entrepreneurial Mastery, I think. Hoping I've got that all right, but I think it is. I think I've got all the words in the right places. But yeah, Vicky has one around Feminine Entrepreneurial Mastery, where everybody talks about different topics, different things, and that they're all related to mindset and business, so that's really interesting. So there really is, a number of kind of groups and themes that you can think about when you're setting up a Facebook community, and showing up in there regularly and showing up as somebody who is an expert in your space will really benefit you. Because if you show up and you demonstrate value consistently, whether it's in your own Facebook group, whether it's out to an email list, whether it's in other people's Facebook groups, if you just show up and you give, Vicky, I'm glad I got it right, and you're welcome, always happy to plug good groups. If you show up consistently, if you show up and you give value, if you show up and demonstrate that you give value without kind of wanting something in return, or without thinking about a sales perspective or anything like that, actually you're more likely to make more sales. Okay, and it's crazy. You kind of get into being that expert without even having to say, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm an expert in XYZ. Okay, so imagine when you go to in a Facebook group, a new Facebook group, and you always say, hey, I'm Jess, and I'm a sales coach, and I do X, Y, Z, right? And everyone's like, yawn, because, you know, ultimately everybody cares more about the results you can get them than what you actually do, right? And so what you want to be thinking about is, how am I showing people? I don't know whether anybody ever did this. In school, we used to have this thing called show and tell, okay? And you would go in, and you would take your item, and I always used to take something really random, and you would have to tell people what was interesting about it and why you'd brought it in, and what was really, really good about that. And so what I learned in corporate was actually that you should show, not tell. People don't want to be told what you can do. They're not interested in hearing about it. They're interested in being shown it. So if you can show up as an expert and you can demonstrate great skill with sales, or great skill with mindset, or great skill at connecting people, or great skill at helping people formulate their problems and coming up with a creative solution. Hey Anushka, yay, you're live, woohoo! And you're dead on your academic 15 minutes late time, I love that. You know, if you can show up and you can actually demonstrate that value, then you don't need to tell them what you do all the time. You know, effectively, it's about saying, hey Lorraine, yay, you're here too. This is amazing. I was saying earlier, it's like all my favourite people on one live. And now you're all here. But yeah, you know, it's all about showing, not telling, okay? Showing yourself as the expert. Now, you can do that through writing for Huffington Post. I know recently there's been a few weird threads about how Huffington Post won't really help you, or it will really help you, or it might really help you. It doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that with whatever you write, if it's something that's external, like a blog, or like a podcast, or a telesummit, or an interview series, the thing that really matters is that during that period of time that you have the audience there reading or listening or looking at what you've done, that you demonstrate to them, you demonstrate clear value, and that you show them how you can help. Okay, so you immediately, rather than telling them, you show them what you can do. So for example, I might go into a Facebook group and I might share the five-star framework that I use for launches, and I might say, hey look, I know that a lot of people in this group are struggling with launches. I've come up with this cool little framework, really, really simple to implement. I thought you might like to see it. Here it is in a post. Okay, people read that and they go away, they either implement it or they don't, you know, it depends on who's reading it, but they see immediate value. And so the next time somebody in that group says, hey, who do you know who's really good with sales, or do you know a sales expert, people from that post, regardless of whether they actually went away and implemented it or not, people will become messengers and they'll say, oh my goodness, you need to talk to Jess. She did this really cool post about launching and she's going to be the expert in that space. So really think about how you're showing up and the kinds of things that you're putting out there to show people, rather than tell them how you are the expert. You know, and you can do that across any medium. I really like things like Facebook Live, obviously, because I get to show up here every day and hang out with really cool people. I like things like Blab because it's interactive, because I can talk to different people and we can get new people into the community and actually have differing opinions and conversations, which is really cool. And then you could also use completely different methods. So you could use the external, getting published in a blog, you know, going onto a podcast, promoting that kind of thing, simply showing up in Facebook groups and just demonstrating how you actually add value in your area of expertise. Is this all making sense to everybody, or am I just rambling? Yeah, we good? I'm like, everyone's very quiet. Okay, good. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of how you can step up and how you can be an expert. Now, does anybody... Yay, Cassie, woohoo, works for you. That's awesome. Does anybody have, Anushka, I love it, just rambling with party poppers. Does anybody have any questions on how you can show up as the expert? Yes, Jane, it's making sense to you too, awesome. Sensible rambling, love that, thanks Vicky. That makes me feel better. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions on how you can show up as the expert, or is anybody struggling with how you're showing up as the expert and you're feeling like you're giving value but you're not necessarily seeing engagement? Hit me up with any questions that you've got on your own visibility, on how you're showing up as an expert. I know that Jane recently has had some amazing wins in that she's, going to be featured on a radio show and probably have her own radio show, which is amazing. Diana Rickman, again, one of my amazing New Zealand clients, has her own radio show and podcast, and that's her way of establishing herself as an expert. And her listeners really enjoy it. They get a lot of value from it. And actually, she gets a lot of clients from it because it is a place where they see her as being the person who knows everything about EFT. And for Jane, her radio show will be demonstrating and showing her as being the person who knows about mindset. For Vicky, who's just had 2 articles published, yes, in American Women's Institute, hopefully I've got this right, magazines, and she's got a book coming out and things like that. Again, that will be her vessel for demonstrating her as being an expert. For people like Natalie, who show up regularly in Facebook groups, and for Lorraine as well. Lorraine does this really well through ebooks and through value posts on Facebook, and so does Natalie with her webinar and her value posts, is that they show up and they demonstrate themselves as being the expert in that space. Yeah, Lorraine's been published as well today in a local magazine. Woohoo! See, look at you all. All of my clients like whizzing through, getting PR, being really cool. I want to see a copy of the magazine. Yeah. You don't have to post it, but fax it. I say fax it. Cassie, I really appreciate the questions at the beginning of this conversation to help in focusing your message. How often would you post value, daily, weekly, or throughout the day? Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Great question. So I use something called the SUS method. And what that means is that I show up in the morning, and so all of this is done around meals, basically, because I'm somebody that likes to eat, okay? As Lorraine will tell you. So in the morning, I will show up and I will support other people. And that's when I will show up, I will add value by answering their questions. I would, and certainly back when I was using Facebook groups as being a really good generator of organic traffic, I would show up, I would answer questions regularly, I would support people's threads that perhaps hadn't had questions answered, and I would also do searches in groups for my keywords and keywords related to like my area of expertise. So I would search for sales and I would answer sales questions. I would, search for things like money mindset, and I would talk about that. I would search for things like objections or objection handling, and I would do that too. So that would be me showing up and supporting. And basically that was supporting other people, getting them to a point where their question was answered, just making them feel valued and helping them to get past a particular block or something like that, okay? Then in the afternoon, so around lunchtime, I will show up and I will share. And that's something, again, of value to people that are interested in my industry or people that are in my industry. That might be a video, it might be a blog, but it's usually something external to me. It's not necessarily something that I've written or that I've recorded. It could be, a video from Gary Vee, for example, on sales, or it could be a blog from a particular sales blogger or a podcast from a sales podcast, and saying, hey, look, these are things that might help people that are struggling with objection handling or something like that. And then in the evening, I would show up and sell if I had anything. And by selling, I mean free and paid offers. So that would be when I would post opt-ins, it would be when I would offer out paid programs I had, it would be when I talked about anything that they would either have to sign up for and give me an email address for and get my list for, or that they would have to actually pay to purchase. And that's how I did it. Value consistently. And that's not, I go 3 to 5 times a day, multiple Facebook groups. It's more about really honing in on where you can add value and add specific value really quickly and just help other people in a genuine and authentic way whilst giving you the title of expert, because you're consistently showing up in that manner. Does that help? Natalie, fax it, does that still exist? Yeah, okay. No, I was totally wrong on that. Faxing sucks. Like, I don't even have a fax machine, I don't think. It's a printer and a scanner. So there you go. Like, it's something. But yeah, no, definitely not faxing. Because I don't have one of those. But Lorraine, if you could email me it. Take a photo of it on a smartphone. Send it, put it in the group. We'd love to see it. Cassie, awesome. I'm really glad. So, like I say, if anybody has any questions, pop them in. Like, I'm here to help. That's what I'm here for today. Well, every day when I show up here. But basically, the thing that I think we can all get a bit caught up in, and what I see all the time, is people who say, I don't feel like an expert because I don't have 100,000 followers on Facebook, or I don't feel like an expert, or I don't feel like people would buy from me because they don't see me as the expert because I don't have 100,000 followers on Facebook. Facebook likes and social media likes do not equate to money in the bank. And, you know, there are an awful lot of coaches who I'm sure have an awful lot of likes, but don't necessarily have, don't have sold out programs all the time. And that's fine, okay? What we want to do, and what I want everybody in this group to do, is show up authentically and genuinely, and as the genuine expert in your space, in your area, your vibe, your jam, whatever you call it, because actually that attracts clients to you. That's putting out an energy there that says, hey, I am the expert in this, and if you want somebody who is able to help you, that somebody is me. But it's not pushing it down their throats. It's not repeatedly kind of, hitting them in the forehead and saying, hey, I'm the expert. It's doing it in a way that's really genuine, that's really authentic, that really actually benefits them, and that when they make that purchase with you, and you would be surprised at how much quicker your sales funnel is when you add value, and when you show up, and when you brand yourself as being the expert, you'd be surprised at how much quicker your sales funnel is, because you've built a real solid relationship with people. They trust you, they trust your opinion, they know that you know your stuff, they know that if you say that you're going to help them, you really are going to help them, and that you wouldn't take them on if you weren't able to, that you would refer them out, or you make it very clear basically that your areas of expertise are X, Y, Z, and they are able to trust in that, and as a result buy from you, safe in the knowledge that they will achieve the results they want. Okay? As long as they put the work in. That's always the thing. Lorraine, I was halfway through posting it on the page when my carpenter arrived to measure up for my new desk. Oh, fancy. I love it. I love that. You having 2 desks, that's going to be awesome. I want 2 desks, just so I can spread out and relax, but I think it's going to take a while. Sam will need to make them. But yeah, so establishing yourself as the expert doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to go and pitch to 1 million podcasts. You don't have to go and pitch to 1 million blogs. But exactly, Vicky, you have to tune into your passion for your niche and your integrity and your humanness, and it will just shine through. And that is absolutely right. Establishing yourself as the expert is not about showing up and telling people that you are the expert. It's about showing up and demonstrating your value, and demonstrating that you know your stuff, and demonstrating that you actually are there to help people, and once you do that, once you start doing that, that's when all the good stuff really happens. Anushka and Lorraine here. Anushka saying the more space, the more clutter. That is true. In my life, if I had more desk space, I would have even more clutter than I already do. And I'm a post-it ninja. I have post-its all over the place, but they're in really cool colours, so I'm okay with that. And Lorraine, you've got 2 times 2 metre desks with a scaffold plank style top. That sounds nice. Sounds really nice. Oh, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see it. See what it looks like. Okay, good. So are there any other questions on establishing yourself as an expert? Has anybody kind of got any issues with establishing themselves as an expert, or any fears around establishing yourself as an expert? Worried about standing up and being the expert in your space, and worrying what people will say. Are there any questions on how to be seen as the expert in your industry? If there are, it's fine. Shout them up. If there's not, that's okay too. Okay, I don't think there are. Maybe I've explained it like super well, which would be amazing. If anybody does have any questions, if anybody, if you've got any questions, and I get that establishing yourself as an expert can be a bit of a tough one, because you don't necessarily always want to share it with everybody in the group, send me a private message, or tag me in a post and say, just sent you a message and I want you to give me all of your worldly wisdom on how to show up as an expert, and I will make sure that I check my filtered folder and get them from you. Alright? Okay, Lorraine is offering a picture of her very attractive carpenter. Lorraine, I think we would all like to see a photo of a very attractive carpenter in the group, actually. Don't just send it to Anushka, send it to all of us. We'd all like to see. But seriously, lovelies, if you have any questions on establishing yourself as an expert, Vicky, in summary, establishing yourself as an expert, you need to do 3 things. You need to show up, you need to demonstrate value, and you need to show, not sell. Okay, and what I mean by that is actually give value. Do not just sell the theory behind it. Okay, so if you're going to show up in groups and you're going to give value, actually help people. Don't just say, oh, this is how I could help you if you paid me. Okay, show up authentically and give, and expect that karma or the universe or whatever it is that you believe in will actually throw up the right candidates for you, the right clients for you. Anushka, I think my approach with productivity and psychology is a bit unique. We'll see how that goes down. I think that's awesome. And you know what? There are a lot of people out there who really have made businesses out of psychology. And I think productivity is something we all really need. It's really, really beneficial. If you look at, for example, Bushra Azhar, she created a business called the Persuasion Revolution. I think it's Revolution or Revelation, but I'm pretty sure it's Revolution. And she deals with people who, struggle to kind of use the topic of persuasion. And that's all about psychology and sales psychology, and how to actually help you create sales pages that are going to make people want to buy. How to use the language, how to overcome emotional barriers and things like that to make the sale. So just know that you can sell anything. You really, really can. You just really need to believe in it, and you need to be able to show and educate others. That's the other thing. I always talk about educate, not sell. And that's a really, really big thing for me, is that your ideal clients, they may need to be educated on why what you're offering can help them. Not necessarily, being sold it and sold the pipe dream. It's not always going to be about your sales page. A lot of the time it will be, okay, well, why would I need to learn about marketing? Or why would I need to learn about sales? What will that do for my business? What will that do for me? Why would eating healthily make me feel better? Why would being in a really good relationship as opposed to a kind of not good relationship, why would that make me feel better about myself as a person? You need to be thinking about how you can educate people around what you do. Okay, does that make sense? Oh dear, Anushka and Lorraine and Vicky, you're all just, look at this carpenter thing has gone viral. We all love photos of carpenters, especially good looking ones. But that's the kind of basic gist for today, is if you want to establish yourself as an expert, and I guess this is like the super summary, is if you want to establish yourself as the expert, stop telling people that you are the expert, start actually acting like it. Yeah? Does that make sense? I hope so. Maybe I'll use that as a tweetable quote or something one day. Awesome, Vicky. I'm glad that helped. So yeah, if you want to show up like the expert, if you want to be the expert in your industry, stop talking about it, stop telling people what you do, start actually showing up and being the expert. Okay? Yay! Well, in other news, ladies, it is Tuesday, and that means that Sam's birthday is tomorrow! Woo! He's not actually here. He's on a mountain, climbing somewhere. So that's lovely. He's not actually even here for his birthday, but he will be here for the weekend, and I have organised a surprise party to go along with his surprise gift. And I can't obviously talk about it to him because it's a surprise, but the photos, I'm guessing, will be hilarious, so I'll make sure there are photos in here at the weekend of me singing karaoke, potentially a video, but I'm terrible. You know, I think I'm really good, but I'm not. So I'll try and save your ears by not necessarily recording myself singing I Will Survive or something. Oh, Lorraine, he'll love that. Genuinely, he'll really appreciate it. He's not excited about his birthday at all. He doesn't want to be any older than he is now. And I don't think I've really helped the situation by buying as many cards and balloons with his age on as possible. Oh dear. And Vicky's in trouble with her husband because Lorraine's got a hot carpenter. Dear. See, our lives, ladies. We have fun in here. But seriously, any questions, anything you need, please, please, please reach out. Please just pop me a message, pop me a, email if you want to, or if you want to pop a post in the group. If you've got a particular pitch that you're using at the moment to establish yourself an expert and you're not thinking that it's converting well, just let me know, and I'm always happy to take a look over it for you. All right? I'd rather we, all knew what we were doing than people worrying about how they're showing up and not feeling like they're the expert even when they are. All right? Okay, my loves. Well, I'm going to leave you all to it. Have wonderful, wonderful afternoons, mornings, evenings, wherever you are in the world. Vicky is off to get herself, or to fight Lorraine for her carpenter. And Natalie, yes, he doesn't want to be any older. Isn't he really young? Yes, Sam is going to be 25 this birthday. I am a cougar. I am a total cougar, and I'm very proud of that. Especially because I still get ID'd. If we go into a shop or a bar, I will still get ID'd for alcohol, but Sam doesn't. So he obviously just looks really old, and I just look really young. Oh, I love that, Cassie. Now I'm picturing Lorraine trying to sneak in a picture of her carpenter while installing her desk. Lorraine, if your carpenter sacks you as a client because you're trying to take a really, really dodgy photo of him, I feel sorry for you, and you'll never get your desk, but I will find it hilarious. And Nishka, love it. I was just going to say cougar. Oh my goodness, Lorraine once tied loads of balloons on a love interest mirrors as a Valentine's prank. I might do that to Sam. I'm not sure what he would do. Probably kill me. So if I'm not back on Monday, it's because Sam was very upset about all the balloons. No, Natalie, yeah, he is 25. He makes me feel old too. Don't worry about it. And Vicky, he's younger than the two of your three boys. That's amazing. Oh, your carpenter, you've known each other for 20 years. Oh, well, that's all right then. I thought it was just some random man. I was like, that poor chap. Here we all are talking about Lorraine's hot carpenter, and he's only come in for the day. If he's a hot friend, then you should get a photo and you should send him to Vicky. She needs a new man. There we go. All right, my loves, thank you so much for making me have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. I love my live streams with you guys because it does actually make me giggle. We have some really good conversations in here. If you've got any questions, if you need anything, please, please, please give me a shout. Also, if you are interested in Sellout Success, the live is all on the live stream on Sellout Success was yesterday. There'll be a few launch posts in the group. Check it out if it's something you're interested in. If it's not, don't worry. I'm still going to show up in the group and give value. I won't just leave you forever because you never, bought my stuff. I don't really, it's not like that at all. So if you want the deets, let me know. There will be a couple of posts about it. It probably isn't going to be a huge amount of posts about it, but there will be some cool Facebook ads going around about it. So if you see one of my Facebook ads with my face on it and some cool information, please like it because it really, really helps and it makes me feel like people are seeing it. So that would be really cool. Anushka, the picture just dropped in value. Amazing. See, Lorraine, if you'd have managed to get a picture of the hot carpenter and not told anybody he was a married friend, you would have totally got away with that. Amazing. Thank you so much for showing up with me live today. I'm going to now go and have a little bit of lunch, check my emails, get some actual work done. I'll be checking in and out of the group today because we're right at the beginning of July, so we're right at the beginning of hitting launch goals, and you know, actually setting some really, really cool goals for July and getting them done. So I will be checking in with the group. I'm going to be really, really in here all week, and, you know, for probably the rest of July, because I want to be making sure that everybody is rising together, that we're all doing this, that we are all succeeding, that we're all achieving the results that we want to achieve. So if you have any questions, you need anything, just let me know. Yay! Alright then, my lovelies, have wonderful, wonderful days wherever you are in the world, and I will speak to you really, really soon. Bye for now. Oh, actually not bye for now. Remember that tomorrow the live stream will be at a different time. So the live stream will be at 3 o'clock tomorrow, because I've got my last call with my Sellout Success ladies from this round. So because I have my call with them, unfortunately I will be a little bit late into the group, so it'll be at 3 o'clock UK time, and which means it will be at 10 AM EST, 9 AM CST. Alright, so we will be slightly later tomorrow for the live, the Facebook live stream. I promise you it'll be worth sticking around and turning up live for it. It's going to be really good fun. I've got some really, really good lives scheduled in for this week, but it will just be a little bit later because I'll be saying goodbye to all of my Sellout Success ladies. Alright, my loves, I will speak to you really, really soon. If you do need anything, if you do have any questions, pop me a message, and after I have eaten my yogurt, finished my lunch, I will be getting back on my emails and checking in. Alright then, sweets. See you all later on. Lorraine, have fun with your carpenter, pop in a photo, and everybody else, if there's anything you need, shout, and I'll be here. Speak to you soon.